Well, I've just come back from a Ford dealer and went for a test drive in a new Super Duty. When I first got there, I was lucky enough to get a park right next to a Super Duty, so I reversed in the 79. It's surprising how much shorter the Super Duty is than the 79. And just on the bonnet height and the roof height, it's significantly shorter, and hopefully you can see that in the footage I shot. I wanted a super cab, but they didn't have one. They're coming in later in the week, and so I test drove a double cab. And my overriding impression, I haven't driven over there in the 79, was a lack of power. I was expecting great things from the V6, and especially as it was an empty, had a genuine Ford tray on the back of it, but let's say that weighs 200 kilos. I was really disappointed with how it went in terms of acceleration. Up a hill it just keeps pulling and pulling, so that's brilliant, but the actual takeoff, I don't know what the 0 to 100 time, but I reckon it'd be like 15 seconds, 0 to 100, and I reckon my reasonably fully loaded 79 is quicker. So that was a great disappointment, but apart from that, that is a fantastic car. There's so much on it that gets included in the base price, which is not cheap, but it's not stupid, and compared to the things that you have to do to a 79, I think they're going to take a lot of sales away from the 79, and I'm thinking about it. I've got to think about this power issue, and been a few reports of the 3 litre and the 10-speed transmission combination not being hugely reliable, but I guess they've sold thousands of them and a few have not been reliable, so take that with a pinch of salt. And as well, it's been detuned. The standard one has, I think, 184 kilowatts, and the detuned Super Duty is coming in at 154, something like that. So just the detuning should make it more reliable. But there's so much on it that's fantastic. The cabin's fantastic. It's much wider than the 79. It feels more spacious. There's little pockets and there's cup holders, and it's a civilised piece of kit compared to a 79. There's a huge list of things that you would not have to do if you bought a Super Duty compared to a 79. So let's see how we go. We've got no GVM upgrade. You don't need to fix the rear track. It comes standard with a brake controller for your trailer. It's got decent mirrors and they're electrically controlled. The head unit is absolutely fantastic. I know it looks like a lot to go wrong, but that head unit is really nice. It's got switches on the roof for auxiliary wiring. I'm not quite sure how they hook up, but it just seems to be easy enough to patch in your thing into the switches that come up above your head. And that's excellent. It's a bit like the Grenadier, I guess. It comes from the factory with 33s, and it comes from the factory with all-terrains, which as soon as I bought my Landcruiser, the first thing I did, had to get new rims, partially to fix up the offset of the axles, but just because I wanted new tyres, because the ones from the OEM Toyota tyres are rubbish. The sound system is quite respectable. It's not the world's best, but it's a hell of a lot better than what you get in the 79, and the seats are fantastically comfortable. I'm still waiting to drive the Super Cab to see what the legroom's like in that, and actually I'm going to drive a single cab, because if a single cab had enough legroom for me, because I'm pretty tall, I'd probably buy a single cab. The cabin quietness, that's another thing. When you buy a 79, you've got to strip out the headlining and the door panels and put in soundproofing. The soundproofing in the Ford is fantastic. It's really nice. It's comfortable to drive. It doesn't jitter around like 79's got a live front axle, a bit like if you've driven a Land Rover Defender, much the same as that. They don't stick to the road like glue. They jitter around a little bit left, a little bit right as you're going down the highway. The independent front suspension, it makes it hugely more comfortable to drive. So the things that I didn't like on it, just from a quick drive, the power I've already mentioned. That was not what I expected. I expected a 3 litre V6 to go much harder. I'm not impressed that it has to have AdBlue. It's the state of play at the moment. If you want Euro 6 emissions compliance, you've got to have AdBlue, but I don't like that. I had a poke around under the bonnet, and there's things there that I'm sure are going to vibrate. Put them over 100,000 corrugations, something is going to snap off. There's an air conditioning line that just seems to come up out of nowhere, curves around, and there's nothing supporting it. That is going to vibrate to pieces. One thing I definitely didn't like was the way the diff locks are engaged. The salesman didn't really have much of an idea of how to turn the screen on, because it turned out there's no button on the dashboard to put your diff locks on. You've got to go to a screen on the big screen, and then it's down a couple of menus. You've got to go into vehicle, off-road, and then your diff locks are shown. But if you want them in a hurry, there's no way you're going to get them. You're going to have to stop, do your screen stuff, punch in your diff locks, and then tackle. I guess you have to do it before you need them. On the 79 there's a rotary switch, and you can just first click into the rear diff and then second click onto the add front diff in. It is nice on the Super Duty that you can have the front diff engaged without the rear diff engaged. I suppose that might be useful at some stage, but really not having buttons, I think that's a big mistake. And the other small complication I've got to factor in is I've got a canopy on the back which is custom made for a particular tray. So Jackson's made the tray, Jackson's made the canopy, it all fits on the 79. They have got, I rang them yesterday and they've got a few people queued up. If I was to buy one, let's say, I've got a few people queued up, so I wouldn't be the absolute guinea pig. There'll be a bit of experimenting, I'm guessing, to get the tray to fit right. And when I mentioned to the salesperson that I wanted to have a custom tray fitted by this company in Murray Bridge, they said, oh, are they on the approved suppliers list? Are they got Ford's okay? Which I don't know, I guess I'll have to contact Jackson's to see if they have, but the Ford seem to be very particular about who they're releasing the vehicles to get the trays made. And if they're not happy, it looks like they can say, no, sorry, we're not going to deal with them. So that'll be a complication. Other things to mention, the fuel economy on the, or at least on the head unit, it was showing about 15 or 16 litres per 100 when I got in there. I reset it and we did a bit up and down. I went to Mount Barker to do a test drive, and it's not flat. And we did, I don't know, let's say we did 6 or 8, maybe 10 Ks, and we came back with a fuel economy of about 10.1 on the dashboard, which is, that's encouraging for a big heavy car. For pricing, you're looking at about 100 grand without a tray, which if you add up all the things it's got on it, it's not too bad. The things that seem to add on quickly are going to be the accessories. I got quoted $5,400 for an ARB Summit bar, and like I'm pretty sure the one I bought for my Troopy was, which was only like a year ago, was like $3,800. So that's like, is it $1,600 to fit a bull bar? I wouldn't have thought so. So they seem to be getting you on the price for the accessories. Same with the winch, I think they quoted $3,800 for a worn winch. Good winch. But I'm pretty sure they're probably $2,500 if you're going to just went and bought a warm winch and did it yourself. The beauty is, if you get them to do it, you get the warranty from Ford, which is worth something. Well, and apart from putting the tray on and getting a bull bar and a winch, really there's nothing else you have to add to it. Maybe a handset, if you like a GME handset for your two-way, and an antenna on your bull bar, but really it comes with everything that you want. If you want to go touring, you could live with the standard suspension, you could live with the standard shocks. I guess somebody will bring out some fancy shocks to help things later on, but it's out of the box, it's pretty good, I'm pretty impressed. I don't think I'm ready to sign up yet. The longevity of the 3 litre worries me a little bit, AdBlue worries me a little bit, and the 10-speed transmission could be a bit of an issue. Maybe it's easily solved just putting on a transmission cooler to keep the oil a bit cooler. Then you get a good run out of it. So today I'm sticking with the 79. I might revisit it in 3 months if it turns out the 3 litre actually is a good unit and they're not having any issues with it. But you're still stuck with the lack of power, but there's so much else about the car to love. You could almost live with it, and maybe you just say, well, I'll chip it. I'm not sure what's available. Something will be available, I'm sure. It's an excellent first effort, and I think they're going to sell a boatload of them. The salesman who showed me through the car said, oh, had some bloke come in yesterday and bought 3, obviously for a business, but I think they've been walking out the door just on the pre-orders already. So I think Ford are going to be very happy with having this model in their lineup, and really no one's got anything to compete. But for me, I think it's the 79 for the moment. So thanks a lot, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.